What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be going back to something that I have not done in like 4 months, which is a tier list. The last tier list I did was a Halo 2 level tier list, like mission levels. Went through all the levels and I kind of explained why I wanted to put them. But today we're going to be keeping it with Halo, but instead of doing campaign levels of each individual game, I'm just going to rank each individual first-person shooter game as a whole, as you'll soon see. So we have all the first-person shooter ones, because to be honest, I have not played any of the other ones. I haven't played Spartan Assault or the other top-down shooter. I haven't played Fireteam Raven, which is an arcade cabinet, and I have not played any of the Halo Wars games, even though I probably should. I have not. I've only played the first-person shooter ones and Halo 3 ODST, which was an expansion on Halo 3. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and show off the tier list, and then we're going to get started on the placements. So here is the tier list. I have them in order of which each game released, not exactly in chronological order, because if it was in chronological order, then Reach would be first, and then Halo 3 ODST would be between Halo 2 and 3, which for some reason a lot of people that I noticed, like, they say, oh, we're going to put these games in, we're going to rank these games in chronological orders, and then put Halo 3 ODST after Halo 3, which is just, it literally happens right after the third playable mission on Halo 3, on Halo 2, when the fucking ship gets out, does the hyperspace jump in the city. It really happens right then. I don't know why people do that. Anyway, yeah, we got Halo CE, Halo 2, 3, Halo 2, 3, 3 ODST, Reach, 4, 5, and Infinite. All 8 first-person shooter Halo games are here. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. We have 6 tiers here, and we'll go ahead and start with Halo CE. Now, Halo CE, you gotta cut it some slack. This game came out in 2001, but for the time, it was super innovative. One of the actual, like, one of the first-person I think it was the first-person shooter that had the dual analog stick controls, because, you know, a lot of people, I think Doom was the first-person shooter, but that was like on PC, and then GoldenEye 007 was like the best first-person shooter at the time with the on the Nintendo 64 with the single analog stick. But Halo CE was the first one to have dual analog controls, and I think that's really good, really cool. And the graphically, even with the classic graphics of Halo CE, I think it still looks really good today. Even probably better than Halo 2 classic graphics. I'm not gonna lie. It looks really clean. It plays really good. On controller and on PC. The controls still being used to this day. You can think dual analog controls, for a lot of first-person shooters to this game. And the campaign is really solid. It does suffer from, kind of like the limitations of the time, because it does reskin missions. It does reskin the mission Truth and Reconciliation on the mission keys, Two Betrayals, which is Assault on the Control Room, basically, and Pillar of Autumn with the Maw at the end. Pretty much reskins of the same levels, just different parts of it. What can you do? This game came out in like 2001, but I think the missions are really good. The level design of each of the missions is very solid. It goes to a more open Battlefield-esque type situation, like, and there's like, it's not as linear as Halo 2's and later Halo games, where it's just like you're on the straight and narrow path and you have to follow it. No, you can go all kinds of different routes, and there's these big open spaces, especially like on Mass Assault Control Room. Just think about missions like the Silent Cartographer, where there's like so many different ways you can go about that level. It's just really good. Not something a lot of these campaigns did, and this was the first game, and they did it. I think they did a really good job on the level design. Elites are awesome in this game. I mean, they're really tanky in this game, but I think their design is really cool, and the fact that they don't speak English like they do in the later games, and the fact that the AI is just really good in this game. Like, elites actually take cover when you shoot at them. They don't just stand in the open and let you just fucking shoot them over and over and over again. Grunts run away when their leader dies, and based on their rank, they might stick and fight, or they will just run away. If they're like a minor grunt, they'll just run away if anyone dies, and they'll retreat. That was really cool too, man. And also having drivable vehicles and stuff. It's just, overall, the game is just really solid, especially for the first game of the series coming out in 2001. I always enjoy playing Halo CE. I think the speedrun's pretty cool too. I mean, it's a little bit out there, but I think the speedrun for it's really cool. Maybe not as cool as Halo 2's, but I think the speedrun is really cool. And it has a very fair legendary difficulty. Legendary, especially for Halo 2, for example, is just like ridiculous. But on Halo CE, I think it has a very fair and actually challenging, like in a fair way, difficulty. Unlike Halo 2's, where it's like you get fucking just absolutely blasted anytime you try to take on a fight. And I also like the health system as well. They didn't bring that back until Halo Reach, though, unfortunately. So for the next few games, you won't have that. The weapon sandbox is really cool. You got the assault rifle, the pistol is absolutely insane. But the assault rifle, I feel like every gun in this game has a lot of utility. So like the assault rifle has a purpose where it absolutely shreds health. You got the pistol, which is just good in any situation. Plasma pistol is really strong here. Even the plasma rifle has its uses for shredding shields. Every gun in this game has its use. It has a solid variety and good campaign levels, man. This has got to go into like the great tier. Definitely one of the better Halo games. Story's kind of, it's nothing crazy, but the campaign levels is like one of the best in the series, in my opinion. So that game is definitely great, and it was just like such an innovative game for the time as well. But enough about that. Let me get a drink of water before my fucking voice goes completely fucking hoarse, because it doesn't take much. Next up is Halo 2. I remember playing this game on the original Xbox, actually, and one of my first like experiences on Xbox Live was playing this game, and it was a very nostalgic experience for me. I really, really, really like Halo 2, but it does have a lot of flaws. For one, the level design for the campaign missions are kind of bad. Like you think of game like maps, like for example, Outskirts, very, very linear. Metropolis too, very linear. Like pretty much every level is just super linear compared to Halo CE and even the later Halo 3. Very, very, like there's not a lot of options, but the story is such an upgrade, man. And being able to play as the Arbiter for the first time was absolutely insane. Like especially at the time, like holy shit, I get to play as a Covenant. It was just super, super awesome. I was kind of disappointed though that I didn't get to fight the UNSC, the Marines and stuff. You don't get to fight them in this game, but you do get to play as the elites and be on the side of the Covenant for a few missions before obviously the Covenant betrays the elites and then you fight in brutes just like the Master Chief. But the story is really, really good. The introduction is so good, but the level design is really bad. And the graphics it almost seems like a step down from Halo CE in my opinion, graphically. I mean, this game came out, 4 years after Halo CE, but they did introduce dual wielding, which is a cool concept. I don't really know how useful it is, but I don't remember dual wielding too much other than like dual wielding submachine guns and like pistol and plasma pistol. But the speedrun route in this game is super awesome. I love watching Halo 2 speedruns with like the sword flying, the high charity skip, and among other things like clipping through fucking walls. Like if you were watching Trevelyan's Deathless Lasso run, like you'll know what I'm talking about with all the glitches and skips. It's freaking awesome. I implemented a few of them myself with my Halo 2 Lasso run because you kind of have to skip certain parts, like the prison skip. God, that took me so fucking long to do. I hated it. But yeah, then we're going to talk about the difficulty of Halo 2. That like perfectly puts us into that. Legendary is absolutely insane. It is memed to shit how hard this game is to play on Legendary. Jackal snipers needs no introduction. If they even so much as smell you, you are fucking dead. Because it is a one shot, one kill. Unlike in Lasso, where you can actually get overshield, in Legendary you cannot. If they see you, you are fucking dead unless you get super lucky and they just so happen to miss, which is not very often. I don't think there was a single enemy in other than the rocket launcher flood and I think maybe shotgun flood, but I don't think so, that could one shot you in Halo CE. But you got Jackal snipers on like, especially in like Regret, Outskirts are like two of like the main ones I think of when I think of Jackal snipers. They're kind of like, if you ever played Dark Souls, it's like the fucking Knights of Anor Londo when they fucking shoot you off the fucking ledge, but like worse because they just literally, if they even smell you, bro, you are fucking cooked. It's crazy. But the elites are not nearly as strong as they are in Halo CE. In Halo CE, they fucking tank so many shots. But in Halo 2, literally all you need is a plasma pistol and a BR, and they're smoked. really just all the enemies are worse except for the flood where they're kind of about the same except they don't revive anymore on their own. They have to have the infection forms around them for them to revive. So yeah, the flood. Don't really care for the flood in this game. I think I preferred them a lot more in Halo CE, but I've never been a huge fan of the flood. But yeah, now we're gonna get into the multiplayer, and the multiplayer, man, gosh, it's so nostalgic to think about it. Just like how large the skill gap is for Halo 2 multiplayer. You gotta think like BXR combos and like BYBs and shit like that, dude. Like fucking crazy ass combos that just completely transformed the game and brought Halo into the MLG kind of scene, like the competitive scene. Because like the skill gap was so crazy with these fucking combos. If you did not know these combos, you were just at a complete disadvantage if someone knew it because it just completely transformed the game. And some of the classic camp or the classic levels on there, like freaking Lockdown was one of them. I remember. I can't really think of a whole lot because I don't remember playing much of. It's been so long since I played classic multiplayer, but and how good the sword was, man, in multiplayer was crazy. Lily had unlimited charge. They just said, "Fuck it, we're gonna have the sword with inc- crazy lunge distance and unlimited ammo." Like, who fucking thought about that? I also remember the sniper rifle being particularly strong too, because of how fast the fire rate is. You can literally kill someone in like half a fucking second, which is pow pow, crazy. Where power weapons in Halo 2 were just so crazy. But the sandbox wasn't as balanced because like BR was like everything you fucking needed, man. Like you did not need anything other than the BR. Submachine guns were kind of useless. Dual wielding wasn't as viable as just having a BR and like a plasma pistol, man, or BR and anything else. BR just completely controlled the meta. If you didn't have, if the enemy team had BR on like an SMG start match, you were just getting fucking dominated the whole game. They were controlling you the whole game if they had BR spawns. Yeah, and also some of the glitches too were just. I'm just gonna mention it real fast. Were just crazy. Like super jump, I remember super bouncing and shit on certain maps. Like Headlong was one of them, where you'd super bounce on top of the fucking buildings, or you'd use someone to butterfly with you. Just good times, man. I fucking love Halo 2. I think overall, I'd say it's better than Halo CE. It might not be as polished and might not have as good as a campaign or levels, but I do think that the multiplayer was a huge step up, especially with the introduction of Xbox Live. Because before that, the only way you could play Halo CE online was on PC releases. But not only that, just the multiplayer in general and the fact that the story was just better, in my opinion. I think the better story more than makes up for the not so good level design. I think the gameplay is just a bit more fun, even though the AI is probably not as smart as Halo CE's, but I just enjoy playing Halo 2 more than Halo CE. So yeah. Next up, ooh, Halo 3, man. Who can go wrong with this game? They introduced so much into this game and just really the most like hyped Halo. I mean, Halo 2 was hyped, but Halo 3, I don't know. Starting with the story, continues right after Halo 2 with Chief landing on Earth. And man, is it just amazing from start to finish with humanity siding with the elites, with your Arbiter being your companion and him being like super fucking strong ally for you as well, even though you might not have it in every mission. And you just kind of get a bond with the Arbiter towards the end, man. And all the levels, like the level design definitely takes a step up, a huge step up from Halo 2, probably on par, if not slightly better than Halo 2's or Halo CE's level design. And not to mention, like, I haven't mentioned the soundtrack yet, but I think Halo 3 soundtrack is probably the best out of any of them. Just off the chains, off the walls. Having a little bit of Halo 2 soundtrack in there and a mix of Halo CE's, like kind of mixed together and shit. I don't know, it's wild. Flood in this game are unique. They added new flood types with the like flood enforcers or whatever. Like they look like the hunters, and then the flood snipers or shooters or whatever the heck they are. And there's also brute flood now. Definitely like the latter stages of the campaign more, like once you go towards the arc and stuff. And there's not as many enemy types, since there's only the brutes, the jackals, grunts, hunters, which is kind of weird considering that they sided with you in the last game. The hunters did, and the grunts. They kind of said fuck it. But yeah, and then it all ends, and it ends the Arbiter's story so perfectly with him finally killing Regret towards the end by himself, and it's just such a rewarding experience. But unfortunately, you lose Sergeant Major Johnson towards the end, and that was kind of sad. And then the epic Warhog run at the end too, man, was just awesome, dude. Perfect way to end that story. And like I said, once again, just the level design was good. Going into the multiplayer now, the multiplayer was fucking sick, so solid. I feel like they definitely took a step up from the sandbox of Halo 2's. Maybe not. They don't have the butt combos like they did in Halo 2, but they made up for it by having a very good balance of weapons. But I do think there's some useless weapons. I still think the submachine gun isn't very good. The Magnum is absolute fucking dog shit in this game. Even worse than Halo 2's, which is crazy because Halo 2's was sucked. They just continued to nerf it from Halo CEs, where Halo CEs could literally 3-tap someone in the head. Now they have a fucking pistol. It's pretty much fucking useless. But I remember the BR, super solid. Adding in different, what they call the power-ups that you can get, which is like the power drain, bubble shield, regen. Those were super sick. They added in new maps like Valhalla, and just I think all the multiplayer maps are just really good. Maybe other than Foundry. I wasn't really a big fan of Foundry going in, or the snowy map. I forget what it's called, but all the maps are solid. The sandbox was really good. They added the Spartan laser as well, which is a really good anti-vehicle weapon. Don't even get me started on fucking Forge, man. The amount of game modes that motherfuckers made back in the day, going into custom games of like fucking infected and stuff, and then there was like was it Run from the Teacher or some shit on assembly or whatever, not assembly. What was that one map with like the fucking you're in the warehouse and shit? Whatever, man. There's like all kinds of cool game modes. There's like I can't remember the maps, bro. I'm terrible at fucking names, man. I'm terrible at names. But there's like the one where you're standing on the debris and they launch fucking like fusion coils and shit, or golf balls and shit, and you knock over. You got to stay on there, bro. Fucking in the mongoose races and shit, bro. We're just so elite in obstacle courses as well. Just Forge completely transformed Halo and how it was played, man. Overall, man, just the multiplayer is second to none in my opinion. All the guns is solid. They added Forge, which was added all these amazing game modes that people made up. It was just crazy. I just remember joining a random friend of mine's custom game with a full lobby and just playing some awesome game modes with a bunch of random people, man. There was nothing like it back in the day. I'm gonna put this game, I think this game needs like no introduction, and I think it's pretty obvious that this shit goes into the highest tier available, man. In my opinion, it is the single best Halo. Halo 3 ODST is kind of weird to rank since it's just an expansion pack of Halo 3 taking place immediately after the events of the third mission of Halo 2, with the ship warping into hyperspace or slip space in the middle of Mombasa as ODSTs try to drop on it. The EMP affecting their course, and they all get separated. And then you play as the rookie, and as you try to piece together the puzzle of your missing team and trying to meet up with them. And it turns into a mission to secure a Covenant engineer who gives you, I can't remember what it was for. It was like, was it the secret to the Ark or what? I can't remember, man. It's been so long since I played Halo 3 ODST, but I think it was kind of cool to have a new perspective on playing as basically a Marine. I mean, you're not exactly a Marine because you're an ODST, which is like the best unit other than a Spartan. It's like the best units the Marines have to offer, just a step down from a Spartan. Being able to play as them, having like a different HUD, and just kind of doing a pseudo open world area as a rookie, going through Mombasa streets to find clues as you fight the Covenant on your own as a lone wolf is super sick. And then you go into each individual story of what each ODST went through as they went through Mombasa, trying to meet up with their team and accomplishing other missions throughout the city to try and help fight back the Covenant who had invaded the city. And then it ends with the Covenant coming back to excavate the area for the portal to go to the Ark to activate all the Halo rings. As you know, that happens in Halo 3. Same thing happens in Halo 3 ODST, which is kind of weird. I feel like that's kind of like a plot hole because there's no way, like, how much time passed when the rookie was asleep, man? Like, that was only like maybe a day. There's no way all the events of Halo 3 till them leaving Earth, from the event of Halo 2 Mission 4 to Halo 3 mission like 3 or 4, like when they go to the Ark. There's no way that happened in like 24 hours, dude. Like, that's so weird to me. Maybe I need to replay it, but they're like, what? There's no way. But yeah, it's hard to kind of rank this because there's no multiplayer involved. It's literally just a story expansion of Halo 3. I thought it was all right, man. It's just hard to rank it because there isn't really. It's just a story and that's it. Multiplayer, I haven't played, or no, I have beat the game on Legendary. Legendary difficulty, I don't remember it being very hard. A lot of the missions are very short, and the campaign is obviously the shortest out of any of the games. So I'm just gonna put this in good. I think it has a really good soundtrack. I think it does a lot of things differently from Halo 3. Even adding some new weapons like the new submachine gun and the new pistol, and just having a new perspective on the game. And I think the story was really well done. Just had a big plot hole that kind of confused me playing it. But next up is Halo Reach, and man, I'm about to get controversial here. I'm not the biggest fan of Halo Reach, man. Never. I used to be, but recently, as I played it as a seasoned, older individual, I just do not care for Halo Reach anymore, man. We'll get into the story. Now, the story is completely exceptional. One of the best, if not the best, story out of any of the games. You go into a 6-man team known as Noble Team with other Spartan 3s. I think George and you are Spartan 2, but the other ones are Spartan 3s. And you're on the planet Reach in the early stages of the war, right before the events of Halo Combat Evolved. You engage the Covenant on Reach, and it goes over the invasion of Reach to the eventual death and fall of the planet and the death of your team, everyone except for Noble 5, which was the sniper guy, June. He was the only one to survive as he went out with Dr. Halsey, and the AI Cortana went to the Pillar of Autumn with Captain Keyes. Basically, like I said, it's like a 10-mission or 8-mission campaign going through the events of the fall of Reach with the eventual and almost picturesque end to to Noble 6, who was a lone wolf. Thus, he died alone by himself. Each person has like a poetic death. It's kind of nice it kind of gives some replay value. You know what I mean? But yeah, the campaign is really good. I like how, as I mentioned earlier, that it's only against the Covenant, because I think I have the most enjoyment playing these games when I'm only fighting the Covenant. The Covenant is like my favorite enemy to fight, and Halo Reach definitely has a lot of that. And they also introduced Firefight. Well, Halo 3 ODST introduced Firefight, but Halo Reach really expanded upon that game mode and made it very enjoyable. I actually remember playing quite a bit of Halo Reach Firefight back in the day. Just trying to see how late I can get into the rounds. It's kind of cool. And now we're going to get into, that's pretty much all the positives I have to say about it. Now we're going to get into the negatives. Starting with armor abilities. I don't like armor abilities, man. I don't like the loadout system they introduced to it, and I don't like armor abilities and sprinting. It kind of started the downfall of Halo multiplayer, where now every game has sprinting, and every game, at least for the next 2 games, had armor abilities that they just kept fucking adding more and more for no fucking reason. I just don't like it. I feel like it had no place in the game, and I just personally never liked them. Sprinting is one thing, but adding like shit like jetpacks, armor locked, bubble shields, shit like that, I feel like it was nice when they were just pickups in the map. Like bubble shield, you go to the spot and you get it, and you can throw it, deploy it whenever you want to. But just having it on a loadout and just having loadouts in general, to me, isn't like they're trying to do Call of Duty shit, and people then later complained like, all this game is turning into Call of Duty. is because of this. It started with this game, man. And then they also added Bloom, which I know certain game modes don't have it, but the basics game modes do. And I think, why would you add this? Why? Who asked to have Bloom in this game? In a fucking arena shooter. Why is there fucking Bloom, dude? This ain't fucking Call of Duty, dog. I remember fucking using the DMR and I'm fucking over here getting pissed off because the DMR is useless from range, because if you shoot it too fucking fast, Bloom's gonna come here and fuck you. I don't like it, man. I do not care for it, and that's why I do not like Halo Reach multiplayer. Even to this day, I don't like it. I don't like Halo Reach's multiplayer. And I did back in the day. This is one of my favorite games to play back in the day, but nowadays, I'd rather play almost any other multiplayer. I mean this, almost every other multiplayer than Halo Reach, because of Bloom and armor abilities. To this point, it's the worst multiplayer because of armor abilities, because of Bloom, all that stacked on top of each other. I don't like the DMR either. I do not care for the DMR at all. I don't know why they got rid of the BR in this game. Maybe because it was in the past, but I'm sure they had the BR back then too. They did make the pistol a bit better, but not by much. Well, definitely a lot more over. No, I think it was a lot better. It's a bit more balanced. But not as viable as the BR or the DMR. They added the focus rifle, which is just a dog shit Covenant sniper. They added the plasma launcher, which was kind of mid. I'd rather have the fuel rod cannon. Oh, they added the needle rifle, which was like a Covenant alternative to the carbine, which was actually, I don't really mind it. I think I'd rather have the carbine, but I do personally enjoy the needle rifle. But without yapping on for too long, yeah, I just didn't really care for Halo Reach, man. It's gonna go like, I don't know. I do think it had Forge, and I think all that makes it better than Halo CE. I'm gonna put it between Halo CE and Halo 2. I'd rather play these two games over this these days. I know a lot of people say that this is their favorite Halo. It's not mine. So we're gonna go into Halo 4. And what's there to be said that hasn't already been said about Halo 4? 343's first shake of Halo, and let me say, I don't like it. I think that's pretty much the consensus on this game. Widely regarded to be the worst Halo, at least the worst first-person shooter Halo out of any of them, and I tend to agree with this statement. They definitely made all the guns hyper lethal, basically, like making them super good. Like every gun is super good instead of having different utilities. They're all just super damaging and does a shit ton of damage. Even in the fucking assault rifle, does insane damage. The campaign is okay. I mean, it's a pretty solid campaign. The level design is a little bit more linear than Halo 3's and even Halo Reach's campaigns. The story kind of goes over Cortana, like they've been floating for space after the events of Halo 3. They get rescued and they discover the Prometheans. You're trying to save Cortana from her eventual demise because she's dying from her age, because only AI can only live for about 8 years, and that's about as long as they've been together, or that she's been alive for. So she's slowly going insane with all this information she's gathered, and it's tearing her apart and shit, and she's losing her mind, and Master Chief wants to save her, and then at the cost of even at the cost of humanity, he wants to save her, and you meet the Prometheans and shit with the Didact. Didact wants to turn everyone to Prometheans because he hates humanity because of what has happened in the past with the war between her. They brought the Flood to the Forerunners and shit like that. I don't really know. I want to get into the story too much. It's decent. It's good. It ends with the boss fight between the Didact and the Master Chief, which is just a QTE. And then you activate a nuke, but Cortana saves you by sacrificing herself and giving you like a little light shield, and then you're found, and that pretty much ends the story of Halo 4. It's okay, and the level design is kind of okay as well. But the multiplayer is, I think, even a step down from Halo Reach, man. It's just not. I don't like how they made every gun like really good. They continued with the loadouts. They continue with the armor abilities. It's going in bad tier, man. I just don't enjoy playing Halo 4 whenever definitely the worst so far. Next up is Halo 5, and I'm gonna be honest, guys, I have not played the story of Halo 5. I played about half of it and decided, man, I don't want to finish this because it's really not my shit and it's boring. I was kind of falling out of love for Halo at this point, so even a bad story couldn't keep me entertained at this point. So I remember the multiplayer being really solid. I liked Warzone. Warzone in this game was like a big team battle basically with AI and human opponents where you all have to do a certain objectives for points, and whoever has the most points or goes over the point cap wins. And you can get to use microtransactions to get different weapons and vehicles in the game mode that you'll use for advantage in said game mode for better weapons and shit. And that's the point of, and you get like requisition packs to open these for cosmetics and Warzone items like the Halo 1 pistol, OP like needlers, shotguns are insane, and insane rocket launchers, among other things. They kind of made the game a bit more like Call of Duty with advanced movement, so kind of like Black Ops 3 almost, where they made every gun super lethal. Also added advanced movement. I can't remember if there's armor abilities. It's been so long since I played Halo 5. But they kept sprinting, they got advanced movement and shit, and I do think it's better than Halo 4's multiplayer, but it's not a huge improvement. Definitely not as good as even Halo Reaches, and I really went over and over about bashing Halo Reaches because it went away from being an arcade or a arena shooter and became more of just a fucking first person shooter, which is not what Halo has been for the entire of its existence until this point, until Halo 4, until 343 took the reins. Then we're going to the story that I know of. Basically, Master Chief has gone rogue trying to find Cortana because she, for some reason, betrayed humanity, sided with the Prometheans, and now she's leading a bunch of Prometheans. You do the same boss fight over and over again against the Warden Eternal, which was extremely annoying. You get to play as Master Chief and Locke, but most of the time you're playing as Locke with his team, trying to find Master Chief and finding clues of where he went. And then Master Chief is, like I said, trying to find Cortana. Don't really know how the story ends, and I'm pretty sure it ends with you deactivating Cortana or some shit. I don't know. But like I said, I like the multiplayer. The microtransactions were kind of annoying, but it wasn't like a super detriment to it. Nothing like fucking Battlefront 2 was for EA. Microtransactions in any game is not good. I don't like microtransactions unless it's purely cosmetic, which in this case it was not. There were weapons in this game that gave you a complete advantage in Warzone, but luckily it was only in Warzone, that game mode. You could play normal matches and not have to use the abilities or the weapons that were given to you. Putting Halo 5 into the tier list, we're going to go into bad, but still better. Halo 4 has a weaker story in my opinion, but it has better multiplayer, so it's slightly better. Actually, no, I'll put it in average. I'll put it in the average tier. Next up is Halo Infinite, another game which the story I have not completed. For what I know of the story, it's basically Master Chief is on Zeta Halo trying to fight off the Covenant, basically. What do they call it? I forgot, dude. Led by some big-ass brute, and they're trying to fight humanity and shit, and taking over the ring, and it's up to you to stop them, and then you fight the Forerunners and shit. Listen, guys, I don't know the story that well. I'll be honest, I have not beat it. I was playing it on Legendary and just all of a sudden stopped playing it because I just wanted to play other games, man. Like I said, I've been falling out of love for Halo for a while. Only playing it really for the Lasso games, which I have enjoyed doing. I've enjoyed playing Lasso. I'm trying to get the Lasso Master Achievement. I'm almost done with it, by the way. But yeah, the multiplayer is really good. It's definitely the best 343 has made in terms of multiplayer. Definitely going back to its arena roots. And I'd even say the multiplayer is better than Halo Reaches. Now, don't get your pitchforks and shit down. Alright? I just personally don't like Halo Reaches multiplayer, man. And I think this is definitely the best 343 has made. And it was a very enjoyable multiplayer. They got rid of armor abilities, instead having pickups throughout the map. Where you can get different abilities like the grapple hook, force push thing. I think there was like a shield one too. And I think the weapons were really solid, man. I liked all the weapons that they had. They had like the spike gun, the little focus rifle thing, and the BR and the DMR, which the DMR is like, no, they had the DMR, and then there was like the fully automatic DMR gun. I forgot what it was called, like the Bulldog or some shit. They got rid of the generic shotgun and replaced it with like a different one. And the art style that they went for in this game feels very nostalgic because they kind of got rid of what they were doing before and went back to like looking like Halo 3, like an updated engine and shit, which did introduce a new engine for this game. My biggest complaint about Halo Infinite is just they gave up on it too quickly, and I also think they should have waited a bit longer to release the game because they released it without custom games, without Forge. All you had was the multiplayer and the campaign, and the multiplayer wasn't even like was pretty bare bone. At least they didn't have too many crazy microtransactions from what I remember. I think all the microtransactions in this game were purely cosmetic, but they kind of like did some scummy shit with like they made it to where this color to get this specific color you had to pay money for it. I think paying money for fucking different color schemes is kind of ridiculous. So that kind of sucks. But the multiplayer was really solid, man. But the campaign, I really can't say. I know there was boss fights. I think boss fights in the Halo game like this is really cool. The only other boss fights before Halo Infinite was in Halo 2 with the Heretic Leader and Tartarus both being boss fights in Regret. In Regret, there's 3 boss fights in Halo 2, and then they kind of never did it again. I guess they kind of did in Halo 3 between you and fucking 343 Guilty Spark, but that wasn't really a boss fight. It was just kind of you shoot him twice and he dies. But without rambling too long, because I've already rambled enough, I'm 45 minutes into the fucking video. We're gonna put this into just ahead of Halo CE, man. I really like its multiplayer. I think it's the best 343 has made, and is better than Halo CE's, in my opinion. Campaign, I can't really say. I have not finished the campaign. I know, I probably should, but I haven't heard crazy things about Halo Infinite's campaign, so I'm not crazy. But I think the open world route they went for was really cool, but I think they could have executed it a lot better than what they did. It just feels like a means to go between point A and point B. There's really nothing else to do just to go to the next mission on here. So anyway, this is my tier list, guys. I know this probably won't be your tier list. A lot of people consider Halo Reach to be their favorite. I don't. I think these two are pretty. I think most people can agree with, but up here I think maybe not. But this is my tier list. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll go ahead and wrap this video up. I was planning on making this video only like 30 minutes long. I'm 15 minutes over my time, so I do apologize if this video is a bit too long for your taste. But I just wanted to go over what I liked about the game and what I don't like, and kind of explaining it a bit. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. See you guys in another one. Peace.